to know what Mars is actually like? Well, in today's video, you're going to find out 3 mind-blowing facts about this famously known red planet and how it applies to the signs Aries and Scorpio. Join me in this series, Astronomy meets Astrology. Hey there, Cosmic Warriors, and welcome back to another video. And if you are new here, my name is Hannah. I am a Western practical astrologer. And if you have not joined the Cosmic Warriors Club, then what are you waiting for? Go to cosmicwarriorsclub.com for all things astrology. But before we do dive into today's video, don't forget to subscribe, hit that like button, click the bell, and if you are interested in any of my services, you can go to hannahselsewhere.com. There you can also find my practical astrology ebooks, my guide, my merch. All the links will be in the description box down below. As always, I really hope that you find this video to be helpful today. Let's do this. Alright, so just a reminder here, Mars in astrology rules both Aries and Scorpio. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be exploring the parallels between Mars, so the actual planet Mars, and these two signs. The first mind-blowing fact about Mars is, like I said at the very beginning, Mars is referred to as the red planet. Why? Because it's full of rusted iron. The ground is covered in it. This makes it appear red. It's a very dusty, very dry planet, so it experiences many dust storms. And some dust can be seen from a telescope on Earth. Such storms occur due to the rise of temperatures, which is caused by the sunlight hitting it. And apparently more energy is absorbed on this planet than is produced, which means there is an energy excess. And an energy imbalance can cause these wild dusty storms to occur. It's a very rocky planet made of iron, nickel, and sulfur. However, what is also important to know about this planet is Mars's water appears to be trapped in its polar ice caps below the surface, and water that tries to exist on the planet quickly boils away. Its polar caps are comprised of dry ice, which is basically frozen carbon dioxide. The atmosphere on Mars is actually made of carbon dioxide, nitrogen, and argon. In fact, the atmosphere is 95% carbon dioxide. Now keep in mind that we as humans, we breathe in oxygen and then we breathe out carbon dioxide, and too much CO2 can be dangerous for us. So let's just pause for a moment and think about Aries. Aries is this go-getter sign, this energetic ball of fire, this very passionate sign. Aries represents the part of us that is here to get things done. But often, Aries can burn out. Aries can be too impulsive. This sign points to aggression and interruption when we are impatient. And what we are noticing is that Mars experiences this energy imbalance. But you see, Mars in astrology rules over our energy levels, not to mention the storms, how red Mars is. And both Aries and Mars point to our anger, red even being this color tied to danger tied to anger. It's also tied to things like passion, sexuality, courage, and Aries is associated with these very qualities. And then looking at Scorpio, Scorpio represents the hidden sides of our anger and aggression. It's tied to things like our fears, our repressed emotions, and our inner power and strength, which aren't necessarily outwardly shown. Scorpio is also a water sign, but it's fixed, suggesting this parallel with those trapped polar ice caps below the surface on Mars. Scorpio can also show our destructive side. It's associated with poison and death, perhaps pointing to that dry ice, which is frozen, and that CO2 that can be ever so deadly. The second mind-blowing fact about Mars is Mars was named after the Roman god of war. He loved violence and conflict. He was also honored for his battling skills, for his courage. Now, interestingly, he was celebrated twice a year, once in March and once in October. And apparently, the month of March was named after Mars. Now, there's a thought, because Aries season begins in March, no matter which hemisphere you're living in. Also, Mars was named by the Romans as the god of war because Mars's reddish color was reminiscent of blood. And Mars in astrology rules blood. Therefore, both Aries and Scorpio rule blood. Now, in Greek mythology, Mars is associated with the god Ares. See the correlation here between the sign Aries and the god of war Ares. But apparently to the Greeks, Ares was not so popular. This was because he had an insatiable thirst for violence and bloodshed. He was argumentative, always looking for a fight. He was very quick to anger. He was also feared by many. Zeus and Hera were the parents of Aries, and it is said that Zeus hated Aries the most. Still, Aries was worshipped by armies who needed his support in battle. So what does this information have to do with Aries and Scorpio? Well, Mars is the ruler of the signs, and Mars is tied to things like battle, bloodshed, strategy, violence, anger, rage. Aries indicates the outward manifestation of our anger and our frustrations, and Scorpio turns to the inward manifestation of these things. Aries can also be a lot more tactless, like the Greek god Ares, and Scorpio can be much more stealthy and skillful, like Mars. There is this cautiousness when it comes to Scorpio, but Aries needs to learn to pick its battles wisely. Then again, trapped or unexpressed anger can impact our bodies in negative ways, and Scorpio has the tendency of bottling up emotion, meaning the Aries expression can show us the value of letting out our anger, but still learning how to manage our anger in healthy ways. Anger isn't bad, which I think is said much too often, but really, anger can be used as an effective tool. Anger helps us advocate for ourselves, it can drive us, and it's both Aries and Scorpio in our natal charts that can show how our anger and drive play out. And the third mind-blowing fact about Mars is the third closest planet to the Earth. It's the fourth planet from the Sun and the second smallest planet after Mercury. There's a few facts there, but let's focus on the first fact that I mentioned. So, the closest planet to Earth is Mercury, and then the second is Venus. And this makes sense when considering how long each planet stays in one sign and how long it takes them to orbit the Sun and travel through all 12 signs. But Mars takes longer than Mercury and Venus to orbit the Sun, spending a longer time in each sign. Mercury spends time in each sign for about 3 weeks, Venus spends about a month, and then Mars spends approximately 2 months. It takes Mars about 2 years to orbit the Sun, and 1 year on Mars is equivalent to 2 years on Earth. So let's try and think this through when applying this information to Aries and Scorpio. Mercury rules Gemini and Virgo. Venus rules Taurus and Libra. And then Mars rules Aries and Scorpio. Mercury is tied to our intellect and communication. Venus is tied to our self-esteem and our relationships. And Mars is tied to our sex drive and our self-assertion. These 3 planets that are closest to the Earth which are personal planets, they correlate with our personal qualities. Naturally, the sun and moon are not technically planets, but they still are called planets in astrology, and they can indicate those personal qualities as well. But then focusing on Mars staying the longest in each sign in comparison to the other celestial bodies mentioned, well, this tells us something about Mars. Perhaps this tells us that developing a sense of self and identity and ego takes time. There is this natural and environmental development that must occur from the moment we are born. Let's also consider the first house, the house ruled by Aries, indicating how we were born, how we came into the world, how we greet new situations. The ascendant is shown here, highlighting our identity. But the identity we develop is done subconsciously. We take in information from the environment, and this information plays a role in how our identity is shaped. And thinking about the perceptions that we have of ourselves and about the world around us. But it's mostly subconscious, especially when we are younger. And it's Aries that is tied to our youth, our immature qualities, our impulsivity, our survival. But as we grow, we learn, we experience new chapters, new beginnings, we come up against new obstacles, and we mature. And we also move from depending on someone else for our survival, i.e. our parents, to us being our own sources of survival. It's about protecting ourselves and advocating for ourselves. And then Scorpio is about us unraveling the subconscious, addressing what is hidden, and there is this opportunity to redefine who we are. More so thinking about the 8th house, the house ruled by Scorpio. This right here points toward our transformations, our evolution, how we are reborn. It's about reconnecting with the parts of ourselves that are denied and buried within. Through the Mars manifestation of Scorpio, we overcome our darkest moments, fears, and battles, and we courageously face our inner demons. We also develop this mighty emotional resilience. And if you really think about it here, we are defenseless when we are younger. We are so incredibly vulnerable, and it's our parents that must protect us. It's older people that must protect us. But if others do not protect us, our parents, our elders, if they don't, this is a threat to our survival that can lead to dangerous and terrible consequences. Meaning, survival and protection are big Aries and Scorpio themes. And so, bringing this back to the position of Mars in the solar system, this is a long alchemical process. It's about purification, it's about regeneration and renewal. Therefore, when looking to these signs within your natal chart, consider your development. It's about allowing the Martian parts of ourselves to strengthen and grow over time. Okay then, Cosmic Warriors, so that concludes my video talking about the 3 mind-blowing facts about Mars. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you find it to be helpful. Did you learn something new? Did your perspective change? Do you have any fun facts for me or to share? All the references will be in the description box down below. So the references that I used today, make sure to check them out and let me know your thoughts and your opinions on today's video. But with all that being said, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for subscribing. And of course, if you would like to see more videos from myself and you have not yet subscribed, then make sure that you click that subscribe button and also give this video a like if you did like it today. And I will be back with another video very, very soon. Bye!